New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Why, hello there. Welcome to Your Doula for Grief. And I am Bonnie Gonzalez. I am a grief coach, a certified grief educator, a religious science practitioner, a registered nurse, and a licensed soul collage facilitator. And most importantly, I am a human being right here with you on the planet right now, navigating all the choppy waters of everything that's going on in our world and enjoying all the beauty of our world. So just want to welcome you. And if this is your first time here, I want you to know that you have come to the right place to begin your healing from grief, to begin your healing journey. I want you to know that you're in good hands. And if you're returning, I'm so thrilled that we have that kind of a relationship, that you trust me and you come back week after week. So just welcome, and I just want you to sit back and enjoy this next hour. Get yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of wine, whatever does it for you at this time of the day or whatever time you're watching. But just get comfy and drop a comment, ask a question. And also, even if you're watching this later after our live stream has ended, you can still drop me a line. You can still ask a question. I still get those comments and questions. So with that said, I think we should just get started with our show today, because I have a beautiful, beautiful guest that is scheduled to speak to us. And before we get to my guest, I just want to remind you, so many people talk about loss and grief. And sometimes they ask, well, what's the difference, loss and grief? And here's what I say, that grief is an emotional response to a loss. And usually when we think about loss and grief, we think that someone has died. And yes, the death of a loved one is the biggest trauma, the biggest hole that we'll ever have blown through our hearts. Yes, we give death of a loved one top place here. But I want you to know that there's other griefs, there's other losses that we experience. How about a loss of a relationship, a divorce, a geographical move, a loss of a job, a mutilative surgery that leaves your body in a totally different shape, form, and fashion than it was before. And we're talking about losses where our lives can't go back to the way they were before. So just holding that and knowing that grief is an emotional response to a loss. And therefore we can be in grief at any time around different things. And, some of those emotions that can come up in relationship to our losses, anger, deep sadness, numbness, confusion. Yes, those are all emotional responses to grief. And here's what I say about grief, that grief's superpower is healing. The very thing that we run from is the very thing that we should run to. embrace, open ourselves, feel, allowing yourself to lean into the intensity of your emotions, to lean in, because that is how we get through it and heal. And with that, I just want to do just a short reading, and I've read it before, and it's just one of my favorite reminders about grief. And it's by Mark Matusek. And Mark says, grief may be the greatest healing experience of a lifetime. It's certainly one of the hottest fires we will encounter. It penetrates the hard layers of our self-protection, plunges us into the sadness, the fear, and despair we have tried so hard to avoid. Grief is unpredictable, uncontrollable. There are no shortcuts around grief. The only way is right through the middle. Some say time heals, but that's only a half truth. Time alone doesn't heal. Time and attention heals. In grief, we're accessing parts of ourselves that were somehow unavailable to us in the past. With awareness, the journey through grief becomes a path to wholeness. Grief can lead us to a profound understanding that reaches beyond our individual loss. It opens us to the most essential truth of our lives, the truth of impermanence, the cause of suffering, and the illusion of separateness. When we meet these experiences with mercy and awareness, we begin to appreciate that we are more than the grief. We are what the grief is moving through. In the end, we may still fear death, but we don't fear living nearly as much. In surrendering to our grief, we have learned to give ourselves more fully to life. And that's Mark Matusek. And that is what I want our conversation to be around, is about grief and the healing of our grief and moving through it. And I just have a beautiful guest today that we will be discussing. Before I say that, we will be discussing anticipatory grief, because the work that my guest does, there's a lot of anticipatory grief that is experienced. But we do have cumulative grief. That's when you have multiple losses, one on top of the other. Collective grief, where we're all in the world, in our communities, we're affected by a loss, like natural disasters, war, the news of the world can put us into that state of collective grief where we are grieving and mourning together. And there's disenfranchisement grief, which is another topic that we'll discuss later. But for right now, I want to put up my theme for today, which is, it's your life story. Give it a good ending. So here, and that's Loretta Downs' tagline. And so let me tell you just a little bit about my guest today. She's got a long bio. It would take me probably the entire show to read it. So I'll try to give you just the high points so that when she comes on, you have a feeling for Loretta. So Loretta Downs has a master's in gerontology, and she is a certified senior advisor. And she's a highly regarded inspirational speaker who is passionate about providing the end of life experience. Her perspective is formed by 40 years of being a companion to AIDS patients, friends, family, hospice and hospital patients, nursing home residents, death doula clients, and their loved ones. And Loretta is a published author with many articles, and she's been quoted in many books and interviewed on multiple shows and programs and podcasts. And today she's honored me with her presence here on this podcast. And she resides in the expat community of Ajijic, Mexico, where there's thousands of Americans and Canadians that have retired and settled here. She conducts regular advanced care planning workshops at the Lake Chapala Society and regularly speaks all over town. Her moving and entertaining presentations at the Open Circle in Ahihi reverberates through the community. And she is a death positive educator. So I think with that, I think we need to just bring Loretta on and let her continue to tell us about the work she does and what got her there. So help me welcome to the program, Loretta Downs. And I'm so, oh my gosh, Loretta, I'm so thrilled and so honored and excited to have you on to share your story. It's quite an interesting story, and what a ride. So I have said all that about you. I would like to hear how you define what you're doing in the world.
Thank you, Bonnie. This is really, I feel very privileged to have been invited in the show.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you are wonderful. And this is so important for all of us. You know, there's a quote I learned from a chaplain years ago that dying is a spiritual experience with medical implications.
Oh,
and we've made it a medical event. And grief there's a spectrum for grieving. And depending on what the cause of the death or the loss is, the grief can be complicated, whether it's an unrecognized grief. Very often when a friend dies, no one recognizes that, and you have to experience, I just had a very good friend die a couple of weeks ago, and we don't share a lot of friends anymore. So the people that I could grieve with are very few, and that made my rituals for grieving different.
So what's her name? I always like to call the name. We remember our loved ones with their name.
Dan Kuhn. Yeah, he's written a couple of books on Alzheimer's. He was a social worker for 30 years and worked very closely with the dementia community, and died of cancer 15 months after being diagnosed.
Wow, not a lot of time.
No, I think I lost 7 friends and 6 friends and a 68-year-old nephew in 2024, and none of them knew they had cancer the year before.
Wow. Loretta.
So the message is live in the moment, pay attention to what's happening, work on gratitude all the time. Don't think the past or the future too much. I mean, we have to do some planning. In fact, that's something that's very critical for me is advanced care planning. I know that when we plan ahead, it just creates new beginnings. And planning for the end of life is becoming much more important. And certainly I'm 75, almost 76. That happened in a minute.
Where did that time go? Who gave me that age? Oh, Loretta, I have on my fridge. How old would you be if you did not know how old you were? So let's give that a moment.
In Mexico, they don't say how old are you? They say how many years do you have?
Yeah, ¿cuántos años tiene?
I love that because there's something different. There's an ownership to it, and I love that.
Yes.
Advanced care planning. I do, as you mentioned, teach workshops, and I've been doing it. I was on the ethics committee at a hospital in Chicago for 13 years.
Wow.
And that's where all the really hard cases of people getting into hospitals that need serious decisions that will either end their life or cause them to have treatments that are only going to prolong their dying. And very often the difference between a good death and a hard death was having someone to identify as a proxy to speak for that person. So,
I just wanted to ask you that with working with so many end of life people, do you see a common, I don't want to say a common thread, but a common issue that comes up?
One of the biggest is when people are truly facing death, their loved ones don't want them to die. Because they haven't had conversations in advance about dying. That we promise when we get married, till death do us or divorce part. And that's a contract. It's a contract that one of you is going to die first.
Mm-hmm.
And the disclaimer on that, or the denial about that happens when a person gets close to death, causes a lot of suffering.
Yes.
And if we were having conversations when we're healthy, that using examples, something you read or something you see or a newspaper story, and say, if that happened to me, this is what I'd like you to do. If that happened to you, what would you like me to do?
Yes, so that you know their wishes.
No, then no one's feeling, guilt is a horrible emotion. I've had many caregivers say to me, oh, I didn't do enough.
Mm-hmm.
They've given heart and soul, and we do the best we can in any situation. And the more we talk about what's important to us at the end of life, the better we have. Our transition is just better for everyone.
But and with that said, I do understand that, but I hear so much from people that want to talk about their wishes for maybe their funeral, or whether they want things to go after they're gone. And so many of them tell me, but my family keeps shutting me down. They keep saying, I don't want to talk about that right now. Oh, that's too morbid. That's so how do we move beyond that, or how do we work within the framework of that?
I think beginning with a story is very helpful. Paying attention to what happens to your friends. I'm currently working with a 92-year-old woman, and she said, not only are all of my friends dead, but many of them just dwindled away and wound up in long-term care. And I don't want that to happen to me. I want my family to understand what's important to me. And if I get diagnosed with something, I want to be sure that I have choices. I can stop treatments. I can stay at home and get home health care. I want to explore my options, and I want them to understand, I love you. I'm going to have to leave you one day. I have to leave you one day.
Yes.
There's no choice. Let's talk about this. You have to pick a quiet time.
Yes.
That's very important. Do it don't do it in the middle of a movie that they're watching.
Or having everybody over for dinner and it's joyous and festive, and now you want to, picking, awareness of time.
There's a wonderful website called theconversationproject.org.
Oh, I have to look for that. The Conversation
Project.org. And they have a template for how to talk to your family.
Oh, I love that. .org.
And one for how to talk to your doctors.
Wow.
We need to be talking to our doctors. They tend to be very optimistic when we're in critical illness. And that's not helpful. My sister had pancreatic cancer, and one day in the middle of her treatment, I said to her doctor, oncologist, do you think it's time for a palliative care consult? And he said, oh, no. And she didn't push it, and I wasn't as smart as I am now.
Yeah, you're learning. Yes, you've learned.
I've learned. I let it ride, and she died 6 months later without having that transition, because you can have palliative care while you're still having treatment.
That's the difference between,
it's a bridge.
Right.
And
that's the difference between hospice care and palliative. Palliative means you can continue to explore options, though you know that it's a terminal illness, but you can continue to explore. Well, hospice is hospice. That's no more treatment. You have said, I want to die. Comfort care. And yes.
Yeah. And comfort often for a lot of families means food and drink. And there's a point in the dying process where that's not helpful. We want to stop eating and drinking. We don't want it, because our bodies are trying to shut down so our souls can get out of them.
Oh, I love that expression. So our souls can be free.
Yeah, we have to surrender our bodies. We, the us, the animation that you are, that I am, that never ceases. It's just going to leave our body.
Yes.
I like to think of it like the chrysalis and the butterfly.
Mm-hmm. The transition.
The transition, and those last few days of life when we sleep usually. I mean, with hospice patients that were talking the morning they died, but mostly those last few days we're just sleeping and processing the surrender.
Yeah.
And hearing, someone who's dying can hear. Someone who's
Yeah.
Right. And we're in this chrysalis stage, which is why I called my practice Chrysalis End of Life Inspirations.
Mm.
And that's where the butterfly forms. And I've watched them emerge. I used to raise monarch butterflies.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, in Chicago.
Beautiful.
And it always happens in the morning. A little trap door opens on the side of the chrysalis. And this butterfly that's never been a butterfly before, it has a big swollen body and little wrinkled wings, and it spends seconds pumping fluid into its wings, and they fold out. It's a miracle.
To watch a chrysalis.
It's a miracle because it was an egg, then it was a caterpillar, then it was a chrysalis, and now it's a butterfly. It's just like us. We go through these transitions of shape.
Yes, and form.
And as soon as the butterfly's dry, it knows when it's ready, and it knows when it's ready, and it takes off. And my sense is that's what the moment of death feels like. Leaving your body and soaring into the great universe.
Beautifully said, Loretta. And it's a moment. It's really a moment when the human body takes its last breath. That's so sense of sacredness that's there. There's a quietness and a stillness that descends.
Yeah. I've sat with families in ICU waiting rooms where someone was hooked up to multiple machines and they were not going to live. And the family says, we're praying for a miracle.
Yes.
The miracle is that transition. At birth, we have the miracle of birth when we take a breath. And at death, we have the miracle of surrender when we let it go. And we have no choice. We all have, I know there are horrible kinds of deaths. There's war, there's violence, there's accidents. It's the same separation, though, of body and soul that happens. And whether you're a moment old and you die right after you're born, or you live to be 104, it's the same human experience of leaving our bodies.
And, just want to say, so beautifully put, so comforting to hear that. So comforting to hear that, you're sharing your personal experience of what you feel, but it brings a sense of comfort. And for the viewers, if you can get to that conversation, it does bring about comfort more so than discomfort.
I think accepting the fact that we're all mortal is essential to having a good life.
Yes.
Now, I think I believe strongly in gratitude and service as roots to happiness. You're doing a fabulous service. I'm doing service, and we're happy people.
Yes,
really.
Very true. That's very true. I had someone ask me one day, of course, people say, what do you do? And I was explaining what I'm doing, being a doula for grief and how much, joy it brings. Joy or that, I don't know if that's the word that I want to use, but how... I just think I said this. I said, when I'm talking about grief, all burners are fully lit, meaning I am fully engaged in every part of my essence. Yeah. And she says to me, how can you do that? That's so boring. That's so scary. That's so, I couldn't do that. And I think she used the right word when she said scary.
Yeah, well, we're kind of programmed to think that death is bad. But it's human. It's not, it's how we die that can be bad, can be hard.
Yes. And not talking about it makes it even harder.
Yes, it does. And I'm all about I have friends who won't invite me to dinner anymore. They're afraid I'm going to say, have you done those advanced directives I sent you?
Oh, yeah, she's going to bring up death and dying again. Oh, my goodness.
Actually, there is a website called Death Over Dinner. It's a program.
Yes.
It started out as a, oh dear. It started out as a graduate thesis. And it
Oh,
became a TED Talk and a book, and they have a plan how you can invite people for dinner. Tell them you're doing it.
and is that a website, Loretta? Because I'm putting it in the comments here so that so the viewers can see it. Death Over Dinner, is it .com?
Deathover.dinner.com.
Okay, all righty, .com. I'm just putting it in
Great.
to our comments, and it'll come up for the viewers to see. And since I have comments up, Loretta, can we just take a minute to acknowledge our beautiful friend Wayne Baldwin? And Wayne is joining us from Calgary, Canada. And Wayne says, I'll just read a couple of Wayne's comments. He says, the world needs more Bonnie Gonzalez's, and the world needs more Loretta Downs. And Wayne is reminding me here, he says, do right by your audience. Wayne, I'm giving it 100%. And I do want to acknowledge Wayne. Wayne lost his mother in November. Jeanette was her name. So Wayne, just sending you love. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and just hope you were able to navigate that day with a sense of ease. So thank you, Wayne. He has, yes. So Wayne is with us. Wayne is there. And I have put Death Over Dinner in the chat. And I also put in theconversationproject.org. All righty. So Wayne, I'm doing right by the audience by putting that information in there. So there you have it, deathoverdinner.com. And the other is The Conversation Project. And Loretta, I know you didn't pop out of the womb being this end of life specialist. What was your call? What was your call? If there's someone out there that may be listening, that's thinking, should I not? Yeah. What was your calling? What do you remember, or was it an unfolding, or?
It was a little bit of both. I worked in the home fashion industry, and a lot of my friends and business associates were gay men, because it's a creative industry and it attracted creativity, and many gay men are very creative. And in the 1980s, AIDS came through.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yes.
And I wasn't afraid. I wanted to be present for my friends, and I had a flexible schedule, so I could take them to doctor's appointments and hang out and read and work in the garden with them. And I just spent time, and I found the process so fascinating. And there were so many friends. It was like now at this old age time of my life.
Oh, stop that. Reframe that.
I'm kind of proud to be this age. Not everybody gets here.
Yes.
And I think being old and doing it gracefully is remarkable. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not perfect. I don't have the perfect diet, and I don't do as much exercise as everything the literature says I ought to, but I take good care of myself. And so it was the AIDS epidemic. And then I spent 6 years volunteering on an AIDS ward.
Wow.
And I saw good care.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
Beautiful care. I mean, we were allowed to sit on the bed with the patients. You can't do that in hospitals anymore. There are too many regulations. Yeah, and I saw some patients were suffering terribly. Their families would have arguments in their rooms. They'd throw out partners. They were just struggling. They'd end up in the ICU. They didn't want to die, even though they knew they were going to die. And then there was a whole nother group of patients who were having parties in their rooms, decorating for every holiday. I'd walk into a room and there'd be 2 people in bed reading a book or listening to music. It was a beautiful acceptance. I'm dying. I want to make this time good. They tended to go into hospice and die at home.
Wow. Wow.
And that was it. I became a hospice volunteer. I became a hospice educator. Then my mother went into a nursing home, and I immediately saw the residents, when they were dying, would go to the hospital and disappear.
Wow.
No grieving process, no recognition, nothing.
Mm.
And that's when I created the Chrysalis Room. And I started where nursing homes and hospitals would provide a private room for families to keep vigil for that last week of life. Because
yeah, there's signs that the end is near, the end is at hand. Let's put it that way.
Right. And because I can't stop talking about death, I was doing conference presentations, the room won awards. And then I kept going. And then I came here to Ahihi, and we have a huge retirement community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do older people do? They die.
They die eventually. Yeah. And they don't want to talk about it until somebody says, you have permission. This is, I give people permission to have this conversation. And that's like what you said earlier about families not wanting to talk about it. If we give them permission and say, it's okay for us to talk about this, I don't want you to be surprised when my time comes. I have one story I want to tell you before we leave.
Please do, yeah.
It's about anticipatory grief. One of my clients was in her late 60s here, and she got cancer, and she had to go to a nearby city for treatment. And she did it for a while, but it was making her sicker than she would have been. And she didn't want to spend all that time and money going through treatment, so she stopped. And she got into got a doctor who was giving her palliative care, and she decided to have a party, a celebration of her life while she was alive.
Yes.
She went to a restaurant, and her friends decorated the place. And when you came in, you got 2 drink tickets, and you could order more, which a lot of people did. It went on much longer than we thought. And there were tables set up around the place. And I sat down with one person I knew and 2 I didn't. And I said, what do you think about this? And one woman said, I think it's fabulous. And another said, I think this is creepy.
Okay.
But she came. And Linda, the woman, the hostess of the party, they'd created a big throne area for her with a peacock chair. And there was a table. She was all dressed up with a crown of flowers. And I mean, it was a beautiful day. And there was a table next to her with little things on it. And there was a dead tree on which she'd hung little plastic bags with jewelry. And when you came to greet her, she said, take something.
Oh, that is just absolutely beautiful, Loretta.
Isn't that beautiful? And I mean, you could not be uplifted by her attitude. And I asked her when it was my turn, I said, how do you feel about this? And she said, I'm excited. I'm going home.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
And she died about a month later. Everyone remembers that party with joy.
Exactly, and not the funeral. They remembered the party with joy.
Right, and that she died happy and comfortable.
And what a gift she gave to her friends.
And we were all grieving. We knew she was going to leave us. But at the same time, there was this, God, she's happy.
Exactly. Thank you. I want to get back to our guest, Wayne, who is correcting me on his mom's name, Phyllis. Phyllis is Wayne's mom. I know Jeanette was in there somewhere, Wayne, but Phyllis is his mother. And Wayne says something really profound here. Let go of the past. Let go of the past. And I read something last week, and I'm going to just paraphrase it. And it just says, in the end, there are only 3 things that matter. How gently we lived, how much we loved, and how graciously we let go of things not meant for us. So Wayne, thank you for that, to let go of those things, especially in fears around death. And it's a process. And Wayne saying, yes, his mother's middle name was Jeanette. So I just wanted to bring Wayne back in with his profound words of wisdom. And so, Loretta, it's just, I just know you have so many stories that you could share, and that one on the pre-funeral, celebration of life. Let's call it a celebration of life. And is there any, when you think about all the patients that you have been with, and I always say that in my work, that it's never what we say to people that can make them feel better, or words of wisdom, that it is our presence that speaks volumes without saying a word. And I was just going to ask if you could speak to that, just your presence. Because I hear from so many people, well, I'm not going to go visit them because I don't know what to say. I don't want to make them sad. Oh, my goodness. So could you speak to that if that's been your experience?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because you're right, Bonnie. People stay away for lack of comfort knowing what to do. Mm-hmm. And the first thing hospice volunteers learn to do is listen.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Listen, you don't. And often if there's a caregiver, they need to be listened to also. There, we're not just there.
Thanks for that reminder. Thank you.
Right. Because they don't know what they're doing either. Most people only do this once or twice in a lifetime. Presence is just being able to sit still. Mm-hmm. Bring a book, play some music. The mobile phones are amazing. If you know someone likes a certain kind of music, you can just sit there and play it on your phone for them. You can read out of a book. You can read poetry. You can talk about, just talking about the stories you share. Try not to say, do you remember? Say, oh, yeah, I remember.
Oh, I love that, Loretta. Thank you.
I remember. Do you remember? I remember the time we did this. I remember. And for somebody who's in that quiet chrysalis stage at the end, where they're just, just being comfortable, be sure their feet are warm, their hands are. I love hand and foot massages.
Oh, the hand massage is just.
Yeah, just gentle touch. Some people, this is another thing that feels really good, just stroking the head. If you don't like it, they'll let you know.
Oh, yes, people will let you know what's uncomfortable.
They want you to hold their hands. Some people don't want. Oh, I did an addendum to my medical advance directives. Mm-hmm. And I said, I want lipstick on because I look dead already without it. I want classical music only. My sister would have played country and Western.
Oh,
I live alone. Nobody knows. I want socks on my feet. They're always cold. I want my girlfriends to tweeze my chin hairs.
Yes, please.
Please. I'm vain.
Tweezers. I don't want a gift. Bring the tweezers.
Yes. I've given tweezer gifts to friends. And I want chocolate, not vanilla ice cream.
Okay. All righty, Loretta.
And I don't want the television on anywhere near me. I love those fragrant lilies that some people find too pungent. I like them. So I made a list of what's comfortable for me.
Yes.
And then they know. And I talk about it and we laugh about it.
Mm-hmm.
I got off the subject. What was your question?
Oh, well, you answered my question. I was talking about people being maybe somewhat hesitant to go and visit because they don't know what to say. And I want them to know that it's your presence. You don't have to say one word, not one word.
We feel energy in our space. The minute someone walks into your house or your room, you know if you want them there or not. Mm-hmm. And if this is someone who loves you, someone you love, they will, even sleeping, feel the shift in the energy in the room.
Yes.
Sit. Just sit. Mm-hmm. Cry. Don't be afraid to cry.
Yes, cry. You can cry with them. You can cry with them if that's what's happening.
Don't go overboard because it's upsetting to the person who's got to leave you. But I think it also is a recognition of I love you, and that's how much I love you. I'm sad. My life is going to change without you. But that's not enough reason to keep a person alive too long.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I was just going to say that anticipatory grief is not just for us, it's for the one that is dying as well. They're anticipating what's being left behind. Yeah. So that's why when I say you can cry with them, because there is a sense of shared loss, the sense of shared loss.
And most often, the person who's dying has been sick for a while.
Oh,
most often. I mean, there's very few of us have sudden death, a heart attack and you're done, or a car accident, which is a whole different kind of emotional response.
Right.
But again, even with those kinds of deaths, if there's been conversations, if there's been some planning, then I think talking about your funeral all the time isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
I know I want those smelly flowers.
You want them. Yes. Oh, good.
I want a celebration. I want champagne and chocolate.
Oh, gosh. You want us to have a blast.
I do. I've left a little money in my will for that, such a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I want people to be happy that they knew me, not that they're losing me.
Oh, Loretta, well said. Well said. Oh, what a joy you are. What a joy you are. And just thank you for the gift that you're giving to the world, for the light that you're shining into the lives of those that you come in. And now you're doing training, helping other people here in this area to take on, and they've volunteered, but you are helping them learn the art of being with end of life. The art. There's an art to the end of life.
There's an art, the healer's art, and the death doula's art.
Yes.
There's the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross Foundation in Mexico. Well, it's worldwide, but there is a Mexican.org, and they have some online programs. So that's worth checking out, the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross Foundation, wherever you are. And there's in America, there's the compassionandchoices.org.
Compassionandchoices.org.
They have a robust advanced care planning program available online, and they also have dementia advanced directives.
Wow. Well, we're just going to have you just hold up a laundry list of all the references that you have. Or, oh no, if you want more information, I want to put up Loretta's email. I'm sorry, Joe, her website, if you can put that up. And it's, I'm trying to find it. And it's Chrysalis End of Life
Inspiration.com.
Yeah, I thought I separated it out. Okay. And also there's a Facebook group, Advocate for the Gentle Exit and the Dignified Departure Facebook group. Is that correct, Loretta?
The Facebook is Chrysalis End of Life Inspirations, and the website is endoflifeinspirations.com. Okay.
All righty. Thank you. Oh, Loretta, is there, where can we see you? Do you have something coming up here? And there you go. There it is.
Here we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have anything coming up. I'm in the middle of a workshop right now in Ajijic. And then I'm going to go visit my family and friends in the States and celebrate being alive and well enough to travel, because I know one day I won't be. I'm very accepting of the fact that how much time, and my attitude about everything is changing. I'm just getting so much more accepting of I'm going to encourage everybody, don't wait until you're in your 70s to think you're fabulous, because you are right now.
Right now, right where you are fabulous.
And I have a quote from the poet David White.
Okay, let's hear it.
Anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you.
Could you read it again?
Anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. So when we feel inadequate in the face of something that's uncomfortable or someone who's not bringing us alive, realize it's not about you.
Yes, it is not yours to take on.
Yeah. And when you're facing loss, you haven't done anything wrong. When you're facing grief, as you said at the beginning, you have to go through it. This offers bereavement services for 13 months.
Oh, yes, for years.
Because the first year, and Wayne, you've just experienced it with Mother's Day. That first year, we all have to go through the holidays and the anniversaries and the
birthday, and Mother's Day.
Yeah, all that. And it just, that first year, it's just because grieving is a process.
Yes.
And we have to go through it.
Right. And here's what I say for those first, or anytime, even if it's not the first Mother's Day, my recommendation is have a plan. Have a plan as to what you will do that day so that that grief just doesn't sneak up on you or overwhelm you. I even give my clients permission, okay, make a plan. But if that day comes and you just want to stay in bed with the covers over your head, do it. But at least you have a plan.
Yeah.
And I have one more guest, Rachel Running. Rachel was here for just a quick minute, Loretta, a couple months ago. And she says, can you please add links in the comments? Thank you. Sometimes hard to catch the names and the links. So I tell you what, Rachel, is if there's anything you want, you have my email. So bonniegonzalez14@gmail. If you do that, I'll get it to you. But I did put the links in the comment section, and they'll be there even on the replay when you go back. But if there's any problem, Rachel, and Rachel, thanks for joining. more importantly, thanks for joining. Loretta, this is just a conversation that it has no end. I hope you know that. It has no end. I feel like we have not just touched the tip of the iceberg. I feel like we've just dove right into the subjects of what's important. And the biggest takeaway for me is awareness. And if you're grieving, my tagline, Loretta, is don't do grief alone. Don't do grief alone. Reach out. I think Bell Hooks says it best. You can't grieve. We can't heal in isolation. We can't. Yes, it looks like
you just gave me a new idea.
Okay.
And I thank you. I appreciate this. When you want to talk to your loved ones and they don't want to talk to you, you can say, I don't want to die alone. And if you're not on board, I'm going to be alone.
Oh,
how does that feel?
Oh, wow. I think that it's like a wake-up call. It's more about, it's not just about what we're feeling. I don't want to talk about it. Suddenly you've involved that loved one as a person, as a human being that does not want to die alone.
Yeah.
And we can bring that to yourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I am just going to have to say thank you, Loretta, and promise me that you will come back. And I know that there are other, oh my gosh, so many other thoughts have come up in just interviewing you and being with you and having, no, not interviewing you, having you share your wise woman wisdom, having you share your wise woman wisdom. And, you know, we're all in this together. And if it's like that dark building at night, as one light comes on, another light comes on until the whole building is illuminated. So that's what you and I, we're a light that came on in this place. And Loretta turns on her light. Rachel turns on hers. Wayne there, he's talking about, oh, he said something beautifully, shine bright like a diamond. So yes, so we're going to shine bright and light up until we're illuminated, till all of our lives are illuminated with the beauty and the gift of understanding death and grief. So thank you, Loretta. I'm going to just hold this episode of Your Doula for Grief, just holding it in my heart, how enlightening it is and how good I have felt just listening to you. Because I sometimes need encouragement. as the doula needs a doula. Oh, and that's one thing. Just quickly, if you can just say what you do for self-care, Loretta, because you're doing intense work. So what do you do for Loretta?
I'm learning to say no more often is one thing.
Oh, and that's a complete sentence too.
Yeah, because I have a tendency to want make everybody happy. So if I say no, they won't be happy. I'm getting over that. The other thing is I just really breathe gratitude. Yeah, and there's a daily
gratitude. Yeah,
gratefulness.org is a beautiful organization. They'll send one sentence every morning. You can sign up for your gratitude sentence, and I save many of them. I also have a dog, and sometimes just walking him or having him lay next to me and I'm doing nothing but petting him is self-care.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Petting an animal calms the parasympathetic nervous system. Do you know that allows you to calm down?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I do that for self-care. I do a little exercise. That's always good. Being in nature.
Nature heals, doesn't it?
That's so good. Sitting in it or walking in it or listening to rain and not. One thing, I have stopped complaining. I see all my problems as problems of abundance, not lack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, problems of abundance. Oh, some friends and we use the term, these are just first world problems.
Right.
Yes.
And to realize that, I don't complain when I'm stuck in traffic because I'm part of the problem. I'm in it.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not walking. Stop complaining.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay, Loretta, one last comment from Rachel. And she says, such profound, beautiful advice. And thank you. So with that, Loretta, I'm going to thank you. And if you hang around afterwards, that'll be great. I'm just going to do a couple plugs. For one is for my book that I just completed, was just published last week, Blindsided by Grief. And I give 5 components to move through grief. That's really, it's not overwhelming with information, but very simple, practical things that you can do as you're navigating grief. So thank you, Joe. And then we're both, Loretta, here in Ajijic, and on July 22nd through July 26th, the Convention of the Americas is going to be here. It's through Centers for Spiritual Living. It's an international convention, so we would love it if you could make it down here. And Joe will just play their little promo. It's kind of upbeat, so I hope I'm not breaking the mood for you. Wow, that was kind of snazzy. I've got my ticket. I hope everybody else has theirs. So, and I want to say to my viewer, Rachel, that I will text you the links that we talked about if you can't find it in the comments. And I know one was Death Over Dinner and the conversationproject.org. Was there one more, Loretta, that I...
Compassionandchoices.org.
Oh, compassion. I didn't put that one. Compassion
and choices.org.
Okay. And I'm .org. All righty. Well, thank you so much, Loretta. This has just been a joy for me, a joy and honor to be with a kindred spirit. And I am rejuvenated. So thank you. And I want to just thank the readers. I want to thank the viewers, Wayne and Rachel, and all of the viewers. I know not everybody put comments in the comment box. And I just want you to thank yourself today for showing up for our program. Death and grief are never easy conversations in our culture, but Loretta and I are working to change that, to make this common dialogue. So I want you to thank yourself for showing up, and just want you to know how courageous you are to hang in. And so as soon as you step away from the computer, I want you to go to your mirror, and I want you to look yourself in the eye, make eye contact with yourself, and ask yourself, what do I need today? What do I need? And whatever comes up, honor that, because you are so worthy of having comfort as you navigate grief. So I just thank you. And until next time, namaste.
Thank you. And give yourselves a hug.
A gran brazo.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yes, thank you. I'm giving you a big hug, Loretta. Thank you for being here.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
New Thought Radio, music from all your favorite New Thought artists. From Jamie Lula, Karen Drucker, Gary Lynn Floyd, Ricky Byers, Daniel Nahmod, Eddie Watkins Jr., and many, many more. 24/7 New Thought Radio. Positively inspiring.